I will say
And then,
too, if you've
yep.
got Morophon out and you choose Fairy, this becomes a single generic mana to cast it.
At that point, if you've already got Morophon down, does Bitter Blossom even do anything
Hey,
for you?
welcome to why I would not play Morophon in the command zone in this deck. Everyone's invited to talk today on the MTG Thoughtcast about the Everyone's Invited Secret Lair deck. What we like about it, what we don't like about it, and how to fix it. All that and more on today's episode. I'm Joseph, one of your hosts here in the MTG Thoughtcast, and across the screen, or somewhere across your ears, is my brother, John Kendall. What's up, dude? How you doing?
Hello, y'all. I'm every creature type, but today I'm identifying as Slug.
Nice. Very good. Slug. I'm sponge creature type today. Yeah, guys, we're talking about maybe a controversial topic. This is a new Secret Lair
What
commander
else is
deck.
new, right?
Yeah, literally. This is a new Secret Lair commander deck that had quite a rocky reveal that has just recently been all revealed. And you know that you're two commander boys. We're going to be talking about it. Before we get into all of that, you can support the channel totally for free by going down and hitting the likes, comments, subscribes, all the things. We're like really close to 1,000 subscribers. I don't know if you saw that, John, but we are inching closer. So if you want to be a part of that, we're doing a big giveaway at 1,000 subscribers. Go ahead and hit that down there. While you're there, you can join our Discord. It's totally free. We have all the discussion about today's episode, other episodes. We play Commander games. It's a whole thing. You'd love to be there. We would love to have you there. So go ahead and join our Discord down below. And for our friends on Spotify, we love you listening to us through your ear canals. If you would be so kind as to give us a 5-star review, that would be lovely. Let's go on to today's episode because we've got a lot to talk about, John.
Yeah, we do. It's another, again, it's always pre-con season here on the Thoughtcast.
Constantly.
And we've got ourselves another one here. So for anybody who is not made aware of what this is, because you may have missed a little bit this, because as Joseph was talking about, they started a reveal for this deck in a very strange way. It's like, I like the concept of what they did with giving the alternate art cards, send it out to content creators, right? Anything that the company does as a whole to help include community members and things of that nature, that's very cool. Is a very cool idea. And like, I don't know if you actually
Wizards, hit us up. I'm free.
I don't know if you actually saw the actual images from the content creators. Like they got the cards.
They're
and, like,
really
these,
pretty in the slabs.
Yeah, these nice like slabs and things like that. Like that was a very cool idea, but not everybody got their cards revealed all at the same time. And in fact, we didn't even learn about some of the missing cards that weren't like shown from streamers. Those just went MIA.
They didn't check Dr. Lupo's vacation schedule before they sent it out. So we had like 6 cards revealed on one day, and then it was one of them was later. So we had 7 cards revealed early. And then even Chase, who's also known as Mana Curves on the EDA Trekcast, was sort of the main content creator who was showing this off. And they even got the date wrong because there was a typo on the reveal page of it. So they had to go back and like, I'm pulling my article down and I'm going to post it again tomorrow. So it was a whole thing. So I think they're getting their footing.
Yeah, so suffice to say, over the course of these previous 2 weeks, you may have even missed that a deck was coming out at all. And what we ended up with finally after the full-scale reveal of this is a new Secret Lair deck called Everyone's Invited, with the sort of the theme that they're going here for, I guess, at its core is changelings, but the idea is a deck that has been called before as like tribal, or I guess would be kindred. Now, I suppose kindred. You want creatures that either are all creature types, or you're going to change the creature types of the creatures you have in play to be benefited by other effects you have down in play.
Yep.
And so I guess let's start at the beginning of this deck here with what they're showcasing as sort of the face commander of this deck. And we're going to go through all the cards that you get in this package as alternate art that kind of exemplify what this deck is trying to do. So what they want you to use as a commander for this deck is Morophon the Boundless, a 7 generic mana legendary creature shapeshifter. It has Changeling. Changeling, for those unaware, is that the creature that it has Changeling is all creature types at all times. Very fun. It's a very cool ability.
Including in your hand, in your deck, on the stack, in the graveyard. All creature types.
Library as well. Yep, same deal. As Morophon enters, you choose a creature type, and spells of the chosen type you cast cost white, blue, black, red, green less to cast. This effect reduces the amount of colored mana that you pay, and then other creatures of the type get +1/+1. So essentially, you choose whatever creature type you want to play as your typal kindred style, and then anything you play past that point, if it is that creature type, you get the colored, at least a pip of it, a pip of the colored mana reduced off of it. So if you were to pick Slivers as an example, because there are some Slivers in this deck, you pick Sliver as the type with Morophon, something like Cloud Shredder Sliver that normally only costs red, white to cast. Morophon now makes it free.
Mm-hmm.
And it's neat. I'm a big fan of Morophon. I really like him as a commander. It opens you up to play unconventional creature types if the support is not there.
Yeah, I will say, so that we can start off by talking about what's cool about the deck. One of the things that I really like about the style that they're choosing to do Changelings for, because rather than just, we're going to pick one creature type every time, or we're going to use Changelings to fill in the gaps on an unsupported creature type, they're kind of just, they threw a bunch of different creature type kindred lords or benefit pieces in, and I think what they want you to do is basically choose the best thing that's in your hand. So rather than having like, I'm gonna draw and play everything from my deck, it's like, I got my my Sliver card. I got my Cloud Shredder Sliver in. So this time that I play this game, I'm going to choose Slivers with Morophon. And then maybe, we'll talk about it later, but there's other, like, there's a one for Knights, there's one for Ox, there's stuff like this. So they want you to kind of choose the unconventional creature type that you just have access to in your hand. So what I love about that is it's going to create a ton of variance in a deck that is kind of built itself. And it leaves a lot of opportunity to kind of slot in sort of your personal flavor of what you'd like to be doing. So what's cool is all of the new art cards are sort of these generic shapeshifter changeling benefit pieces. There's only 10 new arts in the deck. So even if you were to swap around some of the other pieces in, it wouldn't feel like a different deck entirely. So when we get into later about what I would do to fix or upgrade this deck, you'll notice I've just pulled a lot of the creature type lords out and just sort of substituted them with ones that I think function better in the deck. But as it is, you're just going to have access. Like there's like a Bruce Tarl in the deck, like the one from the Rancher one that gives Ox double strike. So like you can just choose Ox with Morophon. Like, well, that's really cool. That's a cool thing to do. I think in the context of Modern Commander, this is a bracket 1 deck where you're not necessarily trying to win the game. You're just trying to get the social benefit of going, I'm choosing Ox with Morophon from this.
So moving off from Morophon, then talk about the commanders like you had talked about. You get a total of 10 alternate art foil. That's important. Cards that come in here, this deck as well. And I feel like I was going to go in order next, but I feel like the most important one to talk about next is kind of was going to be part 2 of what this deck is trying to do, which is Maskwood Nexus. I feel like it's the most crucial piece in this entire deck that depending like how early you draw it and when you draw it, this deck is either going to function or not almost entirely based off of Maskwood Nexus almost entirely.
Going back to what I was talking about, Maskwood Nexus just changes how you're going to play the deck to where you can choose anything at that point. So if you're playing a game where Maskwood Nexus is available in your hand, then all of your lords start benefiting each other, which is really, really cool thing that you can do. Morophon will reduce the cost of everything in your deck, including the lords that aren't the changelings. So Maskwood Nexus, agreed, is the crux of this deck.
Right.
Also, unbelievable art on that Maskwood Nexus.
It's my favorite of the alternate arts that come in this deck. For those unfamiliar, Maskwood Nexus is a 4-mana artifact. It gives creatures you control all creature types, the same being true for creature spells you control and creature cards you own that are not on the battlefield. So it essentially gives them Changeling without naming it Changeling. And it also, for 3 mana, creates you a 2/2 blue shapeshifter creature token with Changeling, of which, by the way, the deck, in addition to these 10 alternate art foil cards you get in the Commander deck as it is, the deck also comes with 4 foil 2/2 shapeshifter tokens.
Nice.
For, I guess, Maskwood Nexus, which is why I'm sort of...
Beautiful art.
Yes.
Notably, there's also one 3/2 shapeshifter for the Black Market connections that's in the deck.
Black Market connections. Yep, you got it.
Get those right.
So first off, outside of the Commander and Maskwood, we've got Avenger of Zendikar, a very classic of green token creature productions here. 7 mana, 5/5 elemental. When it enters, you make a 0/1 green plant for each land you control, and then landfall, put a +1/+1 counter on each plant you control. This one's super cool to be able to, like, if you can, like, if you've got everything as plants from, like, say, Maskwood Nexus,
Exactly.
not only is Avenger putting plant 1/1 counters on the tokens that it makes, but now every land is going to be putting a +1/+1 counter on everything you control.
For sure.
And this kind of idea is going to be true of a lot of these cards in the deck, where if you have their creature types modified, the thing that they can do, they are now doing that thing across your entire battlefield. But Avenger is a very classic example of that.
And especially the cards like this that are both a lord and an enabler, where you're getting all of these tokens that are then going to have their creature types shifted onto other things. So, like, not only do you have all these plants that are going to get benefited from the landfall effect, but those are also going to be slivers for the thing that gives sliver for the Cloud Shredder sliver, and they're going to be dogs and cat, which I guess doesn't really matter for the Ren and Siri. There will be plants and tree folk for your Kiri Talented Sprout, things like that are in the deck. So going wide with tokens is really, really helpful in this deck.
Next up is another one who naturally is a Changeling and is one of the stronger ones in this deck as well collectively. It is Taurine Mauler. 2 and a red for a 2/2 shapeshifter with Changeling that when an opponent casts a spell, you may put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Kind of simple, kind of boring, but he gets the job done.
The glue.
He's very cool. We like him a lot. Tendershoot Dryad is next. This is similar to Avenger of Zendikar, where it's going to be popping you out tokens. 5 mana 2/2 Dryad with Ascend. If you have 10 permanents, you gain the City Blessing. At the beginning of each upkeep, you create a 1/1 green Sapperling creature token, and then Sapperlings get +2/+2 as long as you have the City's Blessing. So,
super good.
Just like Avenger, if everything is a Sapperling, then that +2/+2 is being applied to all your creatures.
Yeah, I love board in a box creatures like this. That just, you play one card and you look up in a few turns and all of a sudden you have a whole board state.
Surprise! For when you have all these creatures down and you need to get threats out of your way, you can do the first real reprint of Raise the Palisade. Comes in sick alt art foil here as well. 4 and a blue for a sorcery. Choose a creature type. Return all creatures that aren't of the chosen type to their owner's hand.
Dope. Perfect in this deck.
It's a very cool one. They've actually included, alongside of this one, there's a lot of other spell-based Kindred style things, right? We're actually just about to next talk about Kindred summons, but you've also got like the board wipe one in here of like Kindred Dominance plus like a card draw thing with distant melodies and stuff like that. So very clearly you want to be having either everything on your battlefield become all creature types, or at least have everything become a unified creature type is what the biggest goal of this deck is trying to do.
Yep.
So speaking of that Kindred summons, we'll talk about that one next. Kindred summons, 5 and double green for an instant. You choose a creature type, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal X creature cards of the chosen type, or X is the number of creatures you control of that type. Put those cards onto the battlefield and shuffle the rest into your library. Very silly in instant speed. I feel like this is going to be the one that may not be functional 100% of the time unless you've got like especially Maskwood Nexus down, because you could have the creature types modified on the battlefield with something like the Arcane Adaptation and the Rucramel and stuff like that's in here, but that's not going to change them in your library, so this may not be as big of a hit as you would expect it to be.
This grabs your Changelings.
It grabs your Changelings. Yes,
right.
You're right.
Which that's the purpose of it. It like gonna pull basically all of your changelings out of the. If you've got 5 creatures out and you cast Kindred Summons, that turns it at minimum into 5 more changelings onto the battlefield. Plus, you could just choose. It's reveal cards from the top of your library to reveal X creatures of the chosen type. It doesn't matter what creatures you have down, where X is the number of creatures you control that type. Just kidding. This doubles the amount of changelings you have. That's what this is functionally doing in the deck.
It's definitely good. Don't get me wrong, but like for, I don't know, holding up 7 mana for instant speed, like I don't know, that's a little tough.
Reminder: bracket 1.
Bracket 1, you got it.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's not a bad card.
It is not efficient.
It's not a bad card, but it's not my favorite of the ones you get in alternate art.
Right.
Another favorite of mine, though, is definitely the big beat stick card of this deck, Coat of Arms.
I have some issues with them including this card in here.
Oh, yeah?
The absolute nightmare that this causes for every player at the table, because Coat of Arms is a 5-mana artifact. Each creature gets +1/+1 for each other creature on the battlefield that shares at least one creature type with it. So at minimum, all of your, well, that's not even true. It's going to be like your opponent's creatures are going to get +1/+1 for each changeling that you have on the battlefield, because they will share a creature type with each of your opponent's creatures as well. And there isn't a way to redirect damage to your opponent. There's no incentive for your opponents to be attacking each other in this deck. So Coat of Arms is just like, yeah, obviously your stuff's going to get beefed up slightly more than your opponent's stuff is, but every changeling that you play is a lord for every other creature on the battlefield too. So I disagree with this one.
Yeah, I suppose so. But like you had just mentioned as well, if you have, say, the Maskwood Nexus down again, or your entire board is already changelings, right? Coat of Arms in that scenario reads, a creature that you have down on your battlefield, at least anyway, is getting +1/+1 for every other creature you control, +1 for every creature your opponents control that are different creature types on your battlefield. So yours are going to end up being significantly bigger than your opponents.
You just have to go wider than your opponents are going tall, because every creature you play down will be another +1 for each of your opponent's creatures as well. Again, bracket 1. This is just creating some madness.
Coat of Arms is a very math-heavy card, so I suppose
math-heavy.
I could definitely see somebody who doesn't want, like, you know, if you're in the heavy set mindset of math is for blockers, don't play this card.
Correct.
You know what I mean? You got to do
also,
a lot.
like, you don't have to play it. You could just keep it in your hand until it's like beneficial. Maybe someone's board wiped, you've got a few tokens down, you're in a position to where you're benefited. I would say don't play this card until you've gone wider than your opponents have, so that you get more of the benefit than your opponents do.
Or like in the turn you're going to play it, you guarantee have a way to get combat damage through at that point, right? Like, again, if you have all your things are all creature types, you say like, oh, Cloud Shredder, my entire board is flying in haste. Oh, Coat of Arms. In that regard, it's kind of like
win the game.
Yeah.
No, this will win the game for sure. Don't get me wrong. It will win the game, but like it's so groany the way it wins the game.
Very math.
Like, okay, let's all stop and get our calculators out real quick.
Next up is Bitter Blossom.
Yeah,
it's
dude.
One in a black for a Kindred Enchantment Fairy. At your upkeep, you lose 1 life and create a 1/1 black fairy rogue creature token. So just constantly popping you out creatures, especially with flying as well. These ones are going to be very, very cool to change their creature type on, because since they naturally have a form of like combat evasion, these are the kinds of tokens that you're going to want to apply
100%.
buffs to.
I would say too, if you've got Morophon out and you choose Fairy, this becomes a single generic mana to cast it.
At that point, if you've already got Morophon down, does Bitter Blossom even do anything for you?
Hey, welcome to why I would not play Morophon in the command zone in this deck.
That's all the actual like cards that do stuff for you. The last alternate art card you get in the deck is a Soul Ring. We love Soul Ring. Everybody knows it. It's a classic. It's a very cool piece of artwork. That's not my favorite, but it's very nice looking. It's got some nice color to it.
Beautiful.
And so obviously alongside these alternate art cards, you get a full deck with this as well, filled out with assortments of pieces that we have been talking here or there. But like we said, the goal of this is you are going to be playing creatures that care about a specific creature type, and then an assortment of cards that help modify and change what your other creatures' types are, or they're already all creature types with something like something like Changeling.
Yeah.
And it's neat. I love like Shapeshifter Changeling Kindred style is a very unique. It's a very unique, like tough to do, unique style of deck.
Definitely.
It's very, very cool.
Stands to be seen whether this is a good version of it or not. I think there's some direction that they've given that's really cool. Let me talk real quick about some of the really cool inclusions for this deck.
Yeah,
I mentioned this over on our Discord when the whole thing got spoiled, but Realmbreaker, the invasion tree, is sick in this deck. Also, it's included in the deck. It's a 3-mana legendary artifact from March of the Machine. I don't know. One of those.
Correct.
So it's a legendary artifact. Its first ability is less important. You can pay 2 and tap it. An opponent mills 3 cards, and you put a land from those cards onto the battlefield under your control. So it kind of ramps you for 5 mana, which isn't great. But its second ability is 10 mana and tap it, sacrifice it, search your library for any number of Praetor cards, and put them onto the battlefield, then shuffle. So if you've got down your sorry, what's the name of it? The Maskwood Nexus. If you've got down your Maskwood Nexus, or let's say you've got down Rukramel, who's another really good include, and spoiler, I would run Rukramel in the command zone. If you've got that down naming Praetors, or you've got your Maskwood Nexus, so all of your creatures are Praetors anyway, Realmbreaker, when you sacrifice it, just tutors all of your creatures into play. Like every creature in the deck, because they're all Praetors. Even on its own, like we talked about with Kindred Summons, it just gets all of your Changelings out. Granted, 13 mana to do it, but you're, again, playing bracket 1, so it's not unreasonable to think that you might get to turn 13 with this and need to win the game somehow, and just putting all of these Praetors into, all these quote-unquote Praetors into play is going to be a way to win the game. So Realmbreaker is a really sick inclusion.
You can do a similar thing to Realmbreaker with the land that comes in the deck as well, the World Tree.
Yes, for sure. The World Tree is way better at fixing your mana than it is anything else. But yeah, similarly, 10 mana, sacrifice it, put any number of God cards into play. So all of your Changelings could be... that's also sick. Like Rukramel, all of your slivers are gods.
Sliver God!
Very sick. Let me talk about Rukramel real quick, because, like I said, when I start talking about sort of upgrade path and ways that I would make the deck a bit more functional... Rukramel it's Wooburg mana, so it's white, blue, black, red, green for a legendary human wizard that's a 3/3. As she enters, you choose a creature type. So you have to pick a creature type. Slivers you control and non-token creatures you control are the chosen type in addition to their other types. The same is true for creature spells you control and creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield. So Rukramel is very similar to Arcane Adaptation. Is that the card?
Yeah, sort of like a blend, like Arcane Adaptation, and then sort of also like Maskwood as well, where it's affecting your stuff on the stack and in your library and in your graveyard.
Exactly. So Arcane Adaptation, similarly, you choose a creature type when it comes in. It's a 3-mana enchantment, and it says the same thing as Rukramel, where your creatures are... The thing is, Arcane Adaptation gets token creatures as well. Rukramel does not, except for the sliver tokens. So you just choose a creature type, and then everything becomes that type in addition to its other ones. So with your... Where was I going with this? Rukramel makes the stuff... What are we talking about here? Well, hold on a second. What were we talking about? We were talking about like the Realmbreaker, the Invasion Tree, the World Tree, things like that, where you don't necessarily need you don't need the Maskwood Nexus to make this deck playable if you've got something like Rukramel in the command zone, because you can just pick whichever creature type is most relevant at the time. So like if you have your Realm Tree in play, then you can just play Rukramel and choose Praetors. And then all of a sudden you're getting all the benefit that you would get from your Maskwood Nexus, because you just need to make one of these big plays to kind of take over the game. So I think that's what I really like the idea of doing, rather than playing Morophon and banking on having the Maskwood Nexus out, because that's one card, that's 1% chance you're going to get it. So we also talked about it when we were talking about Bitter Blossom, but like Morphond is a 7 mana commander that reduces mana cost going forward. So like in a deck like this that has relatively small amount of ramp in it, there's some very cool pieces of ramp like Magda Brazen Outlaw in the deck that will just make treasures as your dwarves become tapped. So there's things like that, but Morphon's going to be hard to get to. It's great that he's colorless mana or generic mana, so you can cast him no matter what your lands are in play. So the mana base can be kind of trash, which it sort of is, and just reduces the cost going forward. But that's like maybe turn 5, turn 6 on, you're ramping. That's not what I want to do in the command zone. Rucramel allows you to just have your arcane adaptation in the command zone and let you just go, okay, whatever I've drawn, whatever's in my hand, I can make it work. So I think it actually makes the deck slightly more functional than having Morophon in the command zone. But overall, there's really cool things to be had. Some of the sort of kindred benefit pieces they have in here, I really disagree with. Like I said, Bruce Tarl, Roving Rancher. He functionally just gives your Ox double strike. There's also one with Knights in here. Kinsbale Cavalier is just a 4-mana 2/2 that says Knight creatures have double strike. So like you're making a bunch of 1/1s, you're making a bunch of 2/2s, like just giving them double strike, I don't feel like warrants a spot in the deck. But it is cool. They're kind of showing you this is how this type of deck functions. You just play these weird kindred benefit cards that can be whatever flavor that you want. I love the Atla Palani in the deck.
That's very cool, yes.
Yeah, because whenever an egg you control dies, you reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card and you just put it into play. So if any of your changelings die, she also makes eggs on her own, but if any of your changelings die, that just tutors out another card, like another creature for free. That might be another changeling, which would be another egg. It might be your Avenger of Zendikar, like who knows? So there's cool things like that to be had for sure.
I had some stat numbers for people who prefer those kinds of like number crunching about what this deck is kind of all about. Out of the deck as is, without any modifications or changes, anything like that, you have 17 creatures who are naturally changeling, so they by themselves are naturally all creature types. This does include Morophon, obviously having changeling on himself here. And in addition to those changelings, you have 2 other cards that create you changeling tokens. 3 technically, because you can use Crib Swap on your own creature, but that's pushing it.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
Technically. Then you have in the deck 3 different cards that can change your creatures into all creature types. 3 cards that can change your creatures into a specific named creature type, and then 8 cards that create you non-changeling creature tokens.
So this is kind of the gears that you're trying to connect together is like make a bunch of tokens or make a bunch of creatures or play these changelings and then connect that together with some benefit piece. Maybe there's a third gear in there that involves changing all creature types or changing some of the creature types.
Yep. My favorite synergy of this pile of cards that I just listed here, it actually is the Rin and Siri. This is something that I do personally.
So sick.
Yeah, this is a build direction that we have. My wife's build of the Rin and Siri specifically. If you've ever noticed, if you've ever read Rin and Siri, you'll notice that the creating a cat token and creating a dog token are on 2 separate lines. So if your creature you're casting is a changeling or has all creature types applied to it, on the stack, it is casting a dog and a cat. So when you do that, you get 2 tokens off of the Rin and Siri, which is it's one of the reasons why it's here. And it's a very, very cool build direction. It is also, they talked about this with the deck reveal, by the way, for anyone who cares about this kind of information here. This printing of Rin and Siri is going to be the first time you can get this art in non-extended, non-foil.
Sick.
So
for those that care.
For those who care about that kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah, it's similar to the Avenger of Zendikar in the deck, where it like will help you go wide on tokens and then gives you a benefit. Because the activated ability of Rin and Siri is not irrelevant. where it's
it isn't.
3 mana, tap it, and it deals damage to any target equal to the number of dogs you control, and then you gain life equal to the number of cats you control. So like all of your changelings, it's just shoot somebody equal to the number of changelings you control, and then gain life equal to the number of changelings you control. This is one of the better cards in the deck for sure.
I like it. Yep, I'm a big fan of it.
Can we talk about the elephant in the room? That's the big glaring problem of the deck, which is the cost.
Yes, I believe we haven't gone over that. Yeah, if we have not explained before at the beginning of this that this deck is going to be on sale May 12th, you can pick this up like this, plus another Secret Lair Super Drop is available that day as well. This is a $200 deck. They upped the cost again.
Big problem. For 10 new arts plus some tokens.
Right.
That's a big problem. When I plugged the deck in on Moxfield so that I could start playtesting it, its current reprint value was like $280. So you're getting
280. I saw 220.
Yeah, somewhere in that range, depending on what art and printing and whatever you're picking. Obviously, you're getting these beautiful new arts, so that's something that you care about. That is worth an additional price for it.
You know, that to its credit, that is a fair point to talk about with these kind of things, because like it may appear on its face that overall you're not getting an extreme amount of like upwards as far as the value is concerned for the cost of this, but we have sales numbers and history facts to go off of for other Secret Lairs, and specifically other Secret Lair commander decks as well, that like depending on the cards, certain ones of those do retain a high resale value. So it's weird talking about value with a deck like this here, because like Sol Ring, let's talk about Sol Ring as a card. Technically, Sol Ring is only like $2 or something, given that degree, right? But you find specific printings like that Galaxy foil one they did from a Secret Lair, that one's still reselling for over $120. The Sol Ring that came in the Cats and Dogs Secret Lair commander deck, the one that was double faced, $80.
Right.
So
yeah, so there is value in the new art. If we're talking, but you could go and build this deck for roughly the same price.
That's the other argument.
I think that's where the problem kind of lies, because if you look back at even the last calendar years worth of precons, the the dollar ratio that if you go to the command zone, they'll use sort of the for every dollar you spend, you're really getting this many dollars worth of cards. For the last year, it's been between $2 and $3. So it's a ratio of for every dollar, you kind of get 2 to 3x of your money. This is for every dollar you spend, you're getting $1.20 worth of cards. So it's if what you're trying to do is just play a cool Changeling deck, this is not what you should do. If what you want is a really cool collector's piece that has these beautiful new arts in a really in a package that's great, then the Secret Lair is for you. But I feel a bit like they're just flying a bit too close to the sun with the prices
it a little
here.
bit, suffice to say. Sure. Yeah.
Well, because the first Secret Lair commander deck was $99, and that was the coin flip.
That was the coin flip one. Yes.
Obviously, that one had its own issues, but it was a very functional deck. It was a very good deck with very high reprint value for $99. It did take a year and a half to get to people, but now they've just swung that in the other direction, where it's it's $200 for a deck that would cost you $200 to buy from Card Kingdom or from TCG Player. So I'm not a fan of that. I really hope that I hope it doesn't sell out super fast, so that Wizards kind of gets the memo that this is not something that they should continue doing.
So that's everything as far as the hard stats and the number crunching and the sort of what you get as a package here. Joseph, I know you have gone through, as you tend to with your headspace on this deck building philosophy, you have made some changes and modifications to make this deck better. So why don't you get us started on that, and we can I'll just give you my banter of how I feel about that.
Yeah, certainly. So I'll have the deck link below, so you can check out my entire deck. But like I said, the first thing that I would do is swap Morphon and Rukremel in the command zone. Not only is Rukremel easier to cast, it's more pips, but it's cheaper. It comes in when you want it to give you the benefit that you want. like I said, I'm not interested in playing a 7 mana commander that reduces costs on stuff. It's just not what I'm here for. So first thing I would do is swap Rukermel in. And I'll tell you about some cool ads. First of all, like you said, there's not too many ways to change creature types. Like there's only 6 or so. So I think a Leyline of Transformation should be in this deck as well. This was the one from Duskmourn that it's just Arcane Adaptation, but it's on a Leyline. So it's an additional copy of something that you'd like to be doing. It's redundancy for your commander, which is great. Another great one, and I think you'll agree with this one, John, there should be an Omo Queen of Vesuva in this deck.
Yes, sir.
100%.
Yes, sir.
You can start selectively. Not only does this fix your mana, because you can just put an everything counter on one of your lands and it becomes all basic land types, but it also puts that everything counter onto the creatures that you would want to have. So like if you've got your, let me see one of the ones that I'm keeping in here. Okay, let's talk about like Harabaz Druid. This is one of the cool ramp pieces in the deck. So it's 2 mana for an 0/1 that taps to add X mana, where X is the number of allies that you control. You can just play Omo and start making things selectively allies to make your ramp number go up. So Omo is a big piece of glue in the deck. Also unbelievably easy to cast. Or 2 in a green or 2 in a blue. Love that.
I'm a big fan of that.
Kind of coupled with that, there should certainly be a Priest of Titania in this deck as more ramp pieces, which is not only does it give you a green for each elf you control, but it's just tap to add a green for each elf on the battlefield. So if any of your opponents are playing like Elvish Mystics, Fyndhorn Elves, those types of things, you just benefit off of them as well. So Priest of Titania is kind of a sneaky include that I like putting in green decks anyway as a ramp piece. But in this one, especially where you're playing changelings and can make other things elves, it's a really great piece of ramp. So that's kind of some of the glue pieces I'm putting together. Like I said, there's quite a few of the Kindred benefit cards that I don't necessarily want to have in here. Things like we talked about Bruce Tar, Roving Rancher. We talked about the Kinsbale Cavalier. I want to pull those out because I don't think they give you enough benefit to be included. Feline Sovereign is another one that I'm not a huge fan of. It basically just gives other cats +1/+1. And then some interaction of whenever one or more cats deals combat damage to a player, destroy up to 1 artifact or enchantment. The thing I do think gives you more benefit is if you put in a Harmonic Sliver into the deck.
Yep.
Just like, hey, when this enters, destroy an artifact or enchantment. So a little more benefit there where your stuff doesn't have to connect. I just don't really care about the +1/+1. Like stat boosting isn't really what I'm interested in doing with changelings. If that's the direction you want to go, there's really cool ways to do it. Like I said, with the Coat of Arms, things like that, which I am keeping in the deck. I do think that Coat of Arms should be in the deck. Just proceed with caution. Some of the really kindred-y benefit things I do want to do is Reaper King. Love Reaper King. Not only does this give you the stat boost, it's really flexible in its mana cost as long as you have mana available. And whenever another Scarecrow comes into play under your control, destroy target permanent. This can just win you the game. You do your realm tree, the realm breaker, world tree, whatever, and you just tutor all of your stuff out. If you can get Reaper King with that, this just becomes nuke everybody's permanents in addition to that.
Permanents. So, you can get lands with this.
Yeah, exactly. So Reaper King means I win the game. Also, not a bad commander. If you wanted to play him as the commander and use all of your changelings as scarecrows, super, super good.
I actually thought Reaper King was going to be your suggestion for the change of commander, not necessarily Rukermel.
No, I think from a spiritual standpoint, I like what the deck is trying to do, where, like I said, it's sort of benefiting whatever is most beneficial in your hand, and Rukermel does that really well. She also just continues to make tokens. So, like, let's say you have a Reaper King in hand, you can just go like Rukermel, all my slivers and all my non-token creatures are scarecrows. And then you can just pay 3 and then blow up a permanent by making a sliver scarecrow. So I like what Rukermel can do going forward with the deck. One more big piece of benefit that I want to throw in here is Voja, Jaws of the Conclave. Really struggling with my words today. So Voya is 2 red, green, and a white for a Vigilance Trample Ward 3 Wolf. When it attacks, you put X counters on each creature you control, where X is the number of elves you control, and then you draw a card for each wolf you control. So this is going to function as your Craterhoof Behemoth in the deck. Just by popping it in, whenever you attack with it, you're just going to win the game function. You're just going to win the game. And then draw a billion cards. I really like drawing cards in strategies like this. There's already what's the name of that card? It's a sorcery.
Especially as a 5-color thing, right? Like, we haven't even really talked about that, like, as a whole. This is a 5-color deck, and despite anything that you do as far as your land includes and your ramp and things of that nature, it's going to be very important that you draw into that fixing that you need, right? You can throw as many support pieces in here as you want. If you don't have the correct cards drawn during the course of that game, you just are not going to proceed on. Like, everyone else is going to move on with the game faster than you, because you're still setting up getting to your 5 colors and whatever. So
exactly.
Yeah, I agree with you. Some card draw to be able to help get you to the color support pieces you need is going to be very, very important.
Yep. They already include a Distant Melody in the deck, which is one of my favorite draw spells to begin with. That's just 4 mana for a sorcery, choose a creature type, draw a card for each permanent you control of that type. Yep. And a Kindred, where's the enchantments here? Kindred Discovery, which enters the battlefield, you choose a creature type. Whenever a creature you control of the chosen type enters or attacks, draw a card. Kindred Discovery is unbelievable. I also would recommend including a Titan of Litjara in this deck as well, which is Kindred Discovery, but it's on a creature.
Why did they not throw that in here? He's a great boy.
Couldn't tell you. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so it's 6 mana for a 6/6 illusion. When it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. It's the chosen type in its addition to its other types. And then when it enters or attacks, you draw a card for each other creature you control that shares a creature type with it. If you do, discard a card. So it'll be like draw 9, discard 1. So big fan of that. For a little extra ramp. Oh, why didn't they include Whelming Wave in this deck? Whelming Wave is so good. It's a 4 mana to return all creatures to their owner hands, except for Krakens, Leviathans, Octopuses, and Serpents. So this is bounce all non-changelings.
Probably because Raise the Palisade was in here. They didn't want to just like slam the deck full of bounce-related spells. Definitely add it, right? Redundancy is good.
100%. Because they also have Kindred Dominance in the deck as a board wipe, which is blow up everything except for a certain creature type.
The only board wipe.
Well, yeah, it's the only like real board wipe. Obviously, Raise the Palisades is going to be a board wipe as well, and so is Whelming Wave, and they're all going to be one-sided. Last little bit of some love that I want to throw into the deck is a Barakos Party Leader. 4 mana for a 2/4. It's an orc that's also a cleric, rogue, warrior, and wizard. And whenever it attacks, defending player loses X life, and you create X treasure tokens, where X is the number of creatures in your party. So it's max of 4 because it's party stuff. But it's going to be full every time. And it's just going to give you 4 treasures when it attacks and just deal 4 to each opponent. Or just, defending player. Barakos is super good. If you've not played against Barakos, he goes bananas. So big fan of those ads. So like I said, that was 11 cards that I'm adding. And I mostly, if you go to my Moxfield list, you can check in my considering for the things that I've cut. It's mostly just the like Bernard Ginger Sculptor. I don't think it's great in this deck. Again, if I'm playing Changelings and I'm doing this like I'm kind of on the fly choosing a creature type, I don't want all of my benefit to go to like, oh, my golems get +2/+2 and trample. Because who cares? I'm making a bunch of 1/1s. I don't care about having a billion 3/3s with trample. I care about blowing up all permanents because they're scarecrows. So, yeah, I'm curious, have you put any thought into upgrading the deck or what you would cut or anything?
I mean, you covered a few of the picks that I had in mind as well, right? Like you had talked about adding in Omo for a little bit of the more of like the changeling support and lands, fixing things of that nature. Leyline of transformation, conspiracy as well, kind of to that end as well. If you want another piece, there are a few
another mask
that are like, like
conspiracy is all creature types, right?
No, it's just a single conspiracy. Just
interesting.
A single
cool.
one. Yep.
Sucks that it's 5 mana and double black pips.
So that include it at your leisure if you find you need more pieces like this, but there are options out there as well. I did pull a couple interesting ideas. Firstly, we were talking about as far as like what we would want to include in here if you want to continue to boost up your changelings count on this as well. I know you had brought up about Valiant Changeling, you said. You found that's a really good one as well?
Yeah, Valiant Changeling is a 7 mana creature. It's 5 and double white for a changeling with 3/3 changeling with double strike. But it costs 1 less for each creature type among creatures you control. So if you have 1 changeling out, this becomes white for a 3/3 with double strike and changeling. It's ridiculous. I don't know why it's not included in the deck. You could play this on turn 2.
And then to that end as well, the one that I thought of as well, there isn't Changeling Outcast in this deck either. Yeah, Changeling Outcast is a single black. It is the Changeling, but it says it can't be blocked and it cannot block. So it's aggressive. It's your aggressive Changeling. So if you want to double down heavier on these sort of like creature types are being boosted, especially in their combat prowess, if you feel like you want to double down on the coat of arms style of play that this deck is looking to do, Changeling Outcast would be an amazing cheap include that could make this deck function well as well.
Dude, even better too, 3-tree mascot.
What's that one?
2 mana for a 2/1. It's an artifact creature. It's a shapeshifter. It's got Changeling, and it has ability of 1 generic mana, add a mana of any color. Activate only once each turn. So it's a changeling that fixes your mana. Also, not included in the deck.
That came from Bloomborough, didn't it? That's why I didn't like it.
Bloomborough. That's fair. Shout out Snoop.
I found some interesting things here as well that like, if you want to kind of leave this deck as is and you are intent on leaving Morophon as the commander, I thought some cool pieces that would be in here would be some of the cards that kind of combo with Morophon in such a way that gives you the so they're the cards like Fist of Suns, Joda, Archmage Eternal, and Leyline of Mutation. These things that allow you to cast your spells by Wooburg instead of their other costs. With Morophon, who says that reduces the costs of those creatures by Wooburg. If you can pay Wooburg for them, that makes them all free.
Yep.
So just nice little, fun little tricky things if you've never seen that before. If you're interested to leave just Morophon as the commander, those are fun little pieces to have.
Yeah, I'm into it.
Yeah, I think that's all that I had as far as like any other ideas for this deck. Would you change anything as far as the land package is concerned, out of curiosity?
I mean,
obviously it's a 5-color list, so there's always room to improve. Did you see, by the way, there's this real cool thing that they had within here? There's a lot of these Lorewind typal duels that are in
super
here.
Cool. Yes.
As far as it, right? Because all you have to do
Ancient Amphitheater, which is a Boros land that comes in untapped if you reveal a giant from your hand.
Mm-hmm. Behold, my giant. And
giant.
And it's my Amoeboid Changeling with...
Yeah, literally. Murmuring Bosk is probably the best of them, which is the forest that has tap for white or black on it to deal damage to you, and it comes in untapped if you reveal a tree folk. So it's a tri-land that comes in untapped.
It's cool. It's a neat little package that they included. It's like you've got all these changelings that are in here anyway, so why not?
Yeah, I'm like weirdly not mad about the mana base. I went through and did some play testing with it, and I found that most of the time it wasn't a problem. There's 37 lands in the deck, which I think is too few. I would bump that up by 2 lands. I would either go to 39 or 40. 39 or 40 is where I would like to be. But 37 lands, you're just going to mulligan a lot with it. So just expect to be mulliganing to get a decent like mana base. But again, that's why I think that Rukremel is a better commander for this, because if you're going to be mulliganing anyway, just to find your good like lands to be able to cast your 5-color stuff, in that you're going to find one of your benefit pieces and be able to go like, great, this game we're going scarecrows, or this game we're going with elves or wolves or whatever. So I think that you're going to find yourself with this mana base having a varied game each time. But it's not bad. There's a lot of the filter lands like Mossfire Valley that just 1 generic mana turns into red-green with it. There's quite a few of those in the deck, so they might come back to bite you. Like Darkwater Catacombs is another one that's blue-black. They don't tap for mana on their own. They need another mana to pump into it to turn into white-black. I would have definitely preferred the Lorwyn filter lands that turn a colored mana into 3 different options of combinations
like
of that colored mana.
Yep.
And they tap for mana on their own as well.
Uh-huh.
So I would have preferred to see those, but I don't really understand why they didn't do them. I think they're just trying to print these filter lands a bit more often. Good pain lands in the deck as well. Love to see those. That's exactly what I would have included as well as kind of a budget mana base for 5 color. But it's not like you have a ton of stuff that comes in tapped, which I'm really grateful for.
Yeah, finally getting better on that regard. We've come a long way since Painbow.
Certainly have.
You know what I mean?
But Painbow is, you guys are starting on turn 1. I'm starting on turn 0. I'm going to try to catch up with you. No temples in the deck, so that's good.
So overall, this obviously comes down then to the question of, given the circumstances, would you buy this deck?
Certainly not. Would you
build this deck?
Absolutely, I would build this deck. I wouldn't spend $200 on it just to get some cool art. I think you can build this on a significantly tighter budget and have equally as good of a time with it.
And even be more focused, you know?
Definitely. Way more focused. I like the concept of the deck. I love Changeling decks. I love what it's doing. But I think the precedent that they're setting with a $200 price tag is something I'm not a fan of.
The concept of what this deck is trying to do is very, very cool, because like from very early on, you learn real quick that like when it comes to building decks brand new for the first time, Kindred style is going to be one of the easiest jump-in points for a new player to do. This is kind of taking that to its extreme end, where it's like, at its core, yes, this is Kindred, but this is Kindred in the most backwards way imaginable, that it's like you're playing nothing Kindred together, yet it all still functions together when you have the correct pieces down. And that's taking the concept of baby's first commander to its extreme top end, and that's very, very cool. It's very, very neat. Also, just shapeshifter support just in general, right? Shapeshifters are a very fun, and it's magic about it, right? Like, there's he can be anything. He's a shapeshifter. He can change to a dog, a cat, an elemental, whatever. It's cool. It's very iconic fantasy, and I like it. It's very, very fun.
Yeah, I'm very into the concept of the deck. Any parting thoughts before we take off here? This was all, we kind of went through all of it.
Yeah, I think we've got it all covered. So just as a quick reminder summary of what this is called the Everyone's Invited Secret Lair Commander deck. It'll be on sale as this video goes out, or this podcast as a whole. It will be available next week, so May the 12th, and available for $200. And if you do end up snagging yourself one of these, we'd love to hear about it down in the comments below.
Actually, important to note that it's going on sale for $199.99, which probably means that they will give a promo away at $200 and above. That's my guess. So that even if you buy the deck, you probably won't get the promo. You need to buy the deck and one of the secret layer drops with it.
Very possible, but yeah, love to hear from any of you who end up planning to build this deck or purchase this deck, or what kind of changes and additions you would make to this as well. Give us some comments down here on YouTube or Spotify, or come discuss this deck with us over on our Discord channel.
Absolutely. And if you don't want to do any of those things, we're also on Blue Sky. You can tweet at us, you can skeet at us,
post us.
Yeah, you can post at us either at MTG Thoughtcast, which is the official account, or each of our individual accounts, Joseph Thoughtcast, John Thoughtcast. If you really are feeling gumptious, you can email us mtgthoughtcast@gmail.com. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. We'll see you soon on the MTG Thoughtcast.